So you want to get started?
I'm there for you, brother. Let's go.
All right. So wanted to welcome everybody. This is a podcast or a recording of Claim Return, Kevin Tomkill, and Advanced IT Labs. We're going to be talking in this video about a software system that we started with, eventually deprecated, and phasing out and moved into a new architecture, a new solution called Claim AI. So from Claim Return, Claim IQ to Claim Return, Claim AI. Kevin Tomkill, who you see in front of you. One of the key pieces to this is we want to talk about the fact that Kevin wanted to innovate in his industry. Not only did he want to increase his revenues and his efficiencies, but he knew that the only way he could do that was through innovation, not to repeat the same old, same old. And that's really where I think the base pain was from the Claim IQ system. So I think this is a good opportunity. I want to introduce Kevin Tomkill. Welcome to Kevin.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Can you give us a little bit about yourself and background on Kevin, and then we'll get into Claim Return after?
Sure. I was retired my second time when I took this project on. I was my last official job was the director of financial operations for a very large conglomerate department store magnet. My job was to handle logistics, operations, and finance for the corporation. I had three offices in Cincinnati, Manhattan, and Boston. So you could tell it was a fun experience. I was having fun.
Very cool. So what made you enter the medical claims analysis and recovery business? How did you come to Claim Return?
About 8.5, 9 years ago, I was solicited by a bunch of investors where their dream was to put together a company that could help a carrier working along with a regionalized insurance company. Their dream was to have a company that would go and look at claims, medical claims, on a post-paid basis, find the anomalies, and then obviously recover and return that money that was spent to that insurance company. Kind of fun.
Yep.
About I don't know, a year or two into that assignment, I was asked to take over the company, to plot and plan bringing the company from entrepreneurial startup to profitability. And that's where we were, I guess, until about 3.5 years ago. I was part, as I said, the original team with Claim Return to get to that point. I then made an offer for that company, purchased it from the investors, and began a very unique journey that still today is very exciting, very vibrant, and consumes most of my available time. And that I mentioned that I have a blast every single day operating and running Claim Return Inc.
That's awesome. That's the only way to do it, right? If you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong.
There's something wrong.
So tell me a little bit about Claim Return. What's the value add? Who's the target customer, and why as that target customer would I want to do business with you?
Our best value add is our flexibility as being client first, meaning that every third party administrator, every carrier, every facility, every provider, doctor's office has a unique opportunity to pay bills incorrectly and then never have them corrected. So by being client first, we actually conform to the client's wishes, both on the recovery side and then also on the identification side. As you may or may not know, there's many, many preferential contracts and agreements in the medical industry. And so our job is to go in and be that conduit and be flexible for the client. But Claim Return, real simply, is a B2B medical claims company that reviews and provides solutions of improperly coded and incorrectly paid medical bills, and we recover them. We take the money and we float a pro share of that back to the client, and then that pro share would go back to the individual payers at some point. It actually goes back to the actual members. So our big component here is to really contribute to lower the cost of healthcare.
That's amazing. And let me assume that one of the biggest key pieces of you being able to do that is technology. It's the ability to analyze and process data effectively, not just quickly, but effectively, so that you can reduce on labor. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Claim return, we'll use company A and then company B. It's all claim return now. Company A, the legacy company, really had an inflexible base that looked at claims through a hunt and peck type of system, and then brings it back up to a recovery. Claim Return B, Claim Return Inc. today, and honestly, with the help and direction and guidance and solutions of advanced IT labs, Claim Return has developed a proprietary logic system with components of automation, machine learning, that identifies and then helps us on an enterprise solution to recover, both on a recover claims that may elude a payer and may also elude payment teams, and also does elude commercial payment medical claims scrubbers. So yeah, it's nuts, but it's fun.
So let me kind of show claim IQ if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, please do.
So I kind of flashed it a little bit, but essentially this is the system that we started with, where you and I started to analyze, and we were looking at data here, and this is what you were talking about, that the hunting and pecking. So you get a series of data, many records, and then a human being literally had to go through these results and then determine if any of these were legitimate errors to process. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. That was pain and suffering at its best.
Yeah, so a human being going through hundreds of thousands of records that have been flagged as being something to look at, but really didn't help much. And then the recovery portion is fairly basic in that it's data processing. This was the FTM that you guys call the find the money portion, was the crux of it, because this was what fed everything else. And so there was an analysis process that was essentially a series of filters, if I'm correct, that would then allow a human being to reduce the noise, but then still a human being would have to go through and analyze the resulting data. And if I remember correctly, because that's where we kind of joined in Advanced IT Labs, and myself came into the picture, because you were having tremendous amount of problems with stability of the system, being able to bring in data, being able to take the disconnected data, because the data comes in a slew of different formats, right?
Oh, it sure
Um,
does.
and then you bring it in, and then you have to somehow figure out how do you normalize it and then analyze it. So those were a couple of pains that I remember.
Oh, and remembering that when you started to get involved in the legacy system, there was absolutely no programming convention that was used on any programmer or developer that had ever worked on the system. So in essence, you're looking at 5 or 10 people's different thoughts and training, and trying to mash this up against a solution to keep the a legacy software running, and even running efficiently. That was one of the largest tasks that we had to go through, is to unwire this thing.
Yeah, and if I remember, you and I sat down and said, basically, the question wasn't about I need a new software. I think that was a afterthought. I think what we said is, how do we take claim return and then make it a market leader? How do we make it something that stands out and has a profound distinguishing factor? And part of that was, as you and I kind of went through it, was the analysis portion, the FTM portion. And the approach that was taken in Claim IQ wasn't, it was no longer serving you because it had hit a end of life cycle, because it was simply filtering, and pretty much everybody now in the industry can make very sophisticated filters. Um, the thing that
Yeah.
I think the thing that is making claim return different in the market is really the capital investment of going through all of this disorganized, disconnected, and erratic concepts and personalities in the medical billing industry, and try to, I would say the best thing I could say is herding cats, to try and figure out what their mentality is and understand and take out of their mind what is medical billing. And we've come up, I think it's taken us a while, and that's what caused a lot of pain in the project. And we'll kind of talk about the project in a second, but I think that was the biggest innovation. Would you agree?
And along with several other factors, those are the major topics, the headlines where we had to adjust. When you and I got together after the review and stabilization of the legacy system, we really took a business a basic look at what the marketplace was offering, and my job was to come back with a solution where we could hit those targets to create a solution which no one else has in the United States. As of right now, I have not found any direct competitors to claim return. There are a few companies that do little components here and there, but we are light years ahead of anyone in this arena. It's a very exciting time to be part of the claim return and also the development team.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
And to you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we transitioned, and the project really was a challenging project, and I think the methodology that we use helped us looking backwards, because we're starting to put a name to this methodology. We're calling it responsive project management or project development, and it's kind of a hybrid between the waterfall concepts and the agile. So the principles of it is, and that's what we used in your project, was we're responsive to the needs of the business. So the project is, this is the end goal. How we get there and what is produced there is more responsive to the business activities. Because in larger enterprises, they'll put a timeline together, they'll put a budget together, and little changes that is completely profound and completely turns the project upside down, unless there's a major people in the company, right? Or if the project is incompetently managed. But in a small business such as yourselves, there's all kinds of different small business pains that if you're not willing or able to adjust quickly, I think it causes a lot of pain. And what's the other word they use? Consta something.
Consternation.
Consternation. There it is. There's another C word, but I'm not going to go there.
Not at all. Thanks for mentioning
it. Yeah. So really, that's something that I wanted to highlight, because I think one of the pains we went through, because so many cycles were spent on trying to identify what we call these algorithms to identify these claims, to what's the rules of the game, really. It's the basic of it, right?
And we had to write the rules of the game as what we said, what we understood, what the market needed. So let's just take the crosswalk process as an example, right?
Yep.
So in the legacy company, it was okay to spend 11 cycles, 12 cycles, 18 cycles to bring data in from a client. And then over a period, if you were lucky, over a period of 45 days to get it 3/4 right. And in medical claims, if you don't get it 100% right based on the data that's presented, why bother go through the exercise? So I remember one evening, and everyone had just finished another 8-hour crosswalk, and their minds were fried, right? And I just looked up at the consultants, and I said, "This is useless." And I'd actually had AI Advanced Labs just tail in on one of these discussions and said afterwards, do we have a solution to get through each one of the components? And we rolled up our sleeves. We came up with a good 20 or so components that needed to be built from the ground up, that was business first, enterprise class, and 100% get it done. And we were able to do that. And we were very lucky. I'm very fortunate to be able to work along with the Advanced AI Labs team, because they, look, I've done this gig for 46, 48 years in direct management. And this team has taught me more in 2.5 years than what I learned in 46 years of direct hardcore management. Congratulations.
Much appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you. Yeah, I think so. So taking off of that story, so going after, what was it, 17 iterations, right now the last 6 or 7 has been one iteration. Within a 24-hour period, you have the data and you're starting to get analysis results. I think that's one of the big improvements that we've made in this new system. So if it's okay, I'd like to show a couple of screens of Claim AI, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely, thanks.
So going from these screens to a whole different look and feel. With Claim AI, you instantly get analysis and statistics of the system, how it's doing, who's doing what, And I think the visibility in Claim AI has been profound. Would you agree?
Yeah, it not only profound, it's a game changer for us on our approach towards business and how to best serve the client.
Yeah, and so this is the new analysis review. It gives person instantly what is going on, what to look. This is the new look and feel for the collections, the FTM screens. Um,
If you could stop on that screen for a second,
oh,
there's
absolutely.
something that really needs to be called out. We sometimes get it right and we sometimes get it wrong. During the development process, I'm willing to see how we can make it better. And it was interesting. We spoke with Payman and his team and said, gee, the collection recovery team is just not efficient. And so it was actually AI Advanced Labs that came back and said, why don't we eliminate all of the noise and just give the recovery experts, the folks that go out and recover the money, a EO, explanation of benefits based working screen. They don't need to see anything else. And it's amazing. This is more robust, hundreds of times more robust than the legacy system. So we were able to stop, pivot, think it through, and advanced AI came back with us with a solution that is now absolutely loved by each one of our recovery agents.
Thank you. Yeah, and it was one of the key benefits that we have is with the tools that we have with the robotic programming tools and really some really good dedicated folks. We were able to turn around. So we did that screen with all the aspects, and it's in production right now. I think we turned it around in about 4.5 weeks. So
Mhm.
it's fun times. Um,
Look, the promise of AI, the promise of Claim AI was to develop a fully integrated enterprise level claims review and payment system. Check, done. The system supports very flexible code revisions in the medical coding arena, which is very complex. Check, done. We have moved into AI from the legacy system. Instead of going from medical claim line to medical claim line on the analysis, we now take an entire holistic view of the patient view and also related to trends that are culminated by using typical providers. Check. And the last part of this that we're putting together now, which is very exciting, is to continue the thought of democratization of data, giving real-time updated data through portal to our clients, and as important, to the folks that represent claim return in the marketplace, and most important, the employees of claim return so they can see the difference on a day-to-day basis, and that's delivery. So we have accomplished our mission on the promise and the delivery of Claim AI. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you. Our pleasure. Yeah, I'm very confident in the structure of Claim AI. And I'm actually really excited as that we've been developing these algorithms to do the data analysis because I think that's the crux of it, right? That's the
Mhm.
beginning of the water from the mountain coming down, going into the get the money. Because without that, it's a moot point, right? And the sophistication that we are able to now achieve with the billers, I think, has gotten fairly. A couple of the edits that are coming out, if this, then that, but not this, and then do that, and I mean some of that is it's starting to become a little bit complex, but it's actually fun to watch it identify. And one of the things that is gratifying, I love watching technology come to life, but I more importantly love watching technology come to life and serve the business that it's for, right? It's a tool. It's technology being developed for the sake of technology, I think is a waste of time. But how does it serve the business? How does it serve the people for whatever? And maybe it's business, maybe it's not business, but watching the folks this morning from the GTM, Stevie and others. I thought that was fun to watch them get so excited about just some simple things that from our perspective is simple, complex to deliver, but simple, just do some profound things. It was cool to watch that.
The difference is, and I said this, I've learned this lesson very, very hard, right? So a developer or a programmer or a subject matter expert, if somebody comes to you and says, trust me, I can build an architecture for you, run quickly. run fast, and run fully away from this person, right? I never got that with AI Advanced Payment Orders team. Never got that. I always got a business solution to the business problems that we brought into his house. And I can say this very comfortably. Going forward, we have an enterprise system. We are in the process of finishing something that is marvelously sophisticated. Going forward, when we add on additional features, just watch us fly. We're still making it happen, and I can tell you, Payman and his team will be sitting right next to us making that happen for
Our
us.
pleasure. Yeah. Really, the last thing I wanted to cover is the data penetration. I think the analysis that we did with Claim IQ with the manual process, because no human being is going to have the patience to go through all that, right? So you were getting maybe 3%, 4% on the high end, 5% data penetration. That means, and what that means for somebody who doesn't understand that is that I've got 1,000 records. How many records will I look at? So the purpose of medical claims analysis is the unfortunate part of this. The reason that human beings are always going to be weaker than automation is that in order to do a proper analysis, you have to look at the entire thing with detail. That means that it's like reading 1,000 novels in one day just to be able to understand the story. And we've been able to achieve now 100% data penetration, whereas before we were only at 5%, which I think is amazing.
Oh, I think it's stunning. But remember, look, I'm not sitting here now saying that this process was easy to do. It was one of the toughest things that I've ever taken on professionally. But let me tell you something. Remember one thing, medical data is complex. There's no way around it. It is just complex. And the combinations that you have to find, go through, and to be certified that you are a technical reviewer of medical claims is stunning. So at this point, because of what AI Advanced has done with claim return, we now manage to the claim level on ROI. We know how long we can go or handle a claim before we use the word affectionately, bankrupt on the claim, right? The Autobot, and I hope you show that screen if you can get that up.
Yeah.
The Autobot is just amazing. We've increased our fine penetration by well over 4,000% from having a team of FTM, CPCs, CPC coders, CPC instructors, both facilities and provider. We had a team of people doing all of this work. We now have a modest team, major payroll savings to quality assure where we're finding in that Autobot. And Payman, you can explain what's on the screen, but this is the difference that propelled claim return into the next season, if I would say, on TV.
Yeah, and really what you're looking at here is activity. So back here, this is activity by human beings. This is where the automation kicked in and started to produce, and this is the past year, produce the results. So you can see a significant increase in fines by a profound amount. And in the past hour, these are fines that the Autobot has produced, where it's almost on an hourly basis working and finding erroneous things, which is the net result of it is profit for the business, right? Whereas before we were getting blips, and you can see, I mean, just this chart here, where my mouse is on the analysis activity, you can see it's a profound difference, where it was manual back here in the beginning, and this is automation taking it over.
Now let's just flip the coin over for a second and say, great, so we're doing our job. We're satisfying the client's need. We're finding the money, and we're actually returning the money to the client. Look, money's great when you're running a company. That's what pays the bills. That's what makes your ROI. The giving an analytic solution to the client. What's happening in your back room and your billers? Are they up to speed on the ever-changing world of CMS quarterly and sometimes flash updates? Claim Return was the first company in the United States that ran out COVID edits on the fly. We created that logic and rolled it out in a period of 72 hours. And we were able to provide that solution to our clients without any questions. I would beg to think, I would ask you to think on what developer out there can make a logic facility on the fly and successful and deliver it while the market changed. That's not just success, that's just awesome.
Much appreciate the comment. There's a lot of smart developers out there and a lot of capable folks out there. So I wouldn't make us that big of a deal. But yeah, we focus on our customers and our customer success. So yes, that's one of the things that drives us. So I appreciate that and the compliment. But I would say there's a lot of smart guys out there, smart ladies out there as well. Um, One of the things that I'm envisioning for claim return, I think this is a game changer in the fact that as this increases, I think this sets the stage for your future. What do you see for the future for claim return?
Look, I'm a pretty creative guy, and I come up with things all the time that
I
make
know.
my staff just go, "What did he say?" All I can say with great confidence that the first quarter of next year, you just come back to Claim Returns website, you just watch us fly. We're doing real well.
Yeah, I can see that happening. What about Kevin? How you this is very exciting for you. So you're looking forward to some good things, right?
Yeah,
Personally.
on a personal basis, I never took this company, never bought this company to on the fact of money. I bought this company on a fact of making a process work where no one else could make this happen. Carriers have tried this. Carriers have abandoned the project. We know specifically two major carriers have tried to mimic the claim return difference, and they've said, geez, this is just nuts. We just don't have the manpower. We don't have the capital today to infuse into this. I took this on to make a process better and to help clients be better. And as a result of that, once you erase that dollar, dollars just come in. And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a guest that has just visited at the window.
No, I do. I see it. So on I have really no more questions for you, and I appreciate the fact of going through this. Any closing thoughts, anything, any comments or anything like you like to make?
I can tell you this arena is changing very fast because of a lot of political items that are on the table. Affordable Care Act, what's going to happen, what the CMS changes are, how technology is embracing this. All of that, I am not an expert at any of that, but I'm very interested in making sure that claim return for the years to come will be embracing additional technology. When you get to the point where your Autobot is finding more than the people, then what I do is move the people to quality assurance to make sure that that happens. That's just good business. You do not want to put a product on the street that you can't defend.
Yeah, one of the things that businesses that we've dealt with, there is this deceptive illusion, I call it, where they are hallucinating robots and automation replacing people. I can't see that. As
Nor,
much as as
nor.
much as I specialize in automation and I specialize in all of these things and advanced IT labs and also any of the other companies, we focus on how do we create automation. The purpose of automation isn't to replace human beings, is to make human beings better. Because if we take the burden, it's like saying, do you want to dig a hole with a shovel or with your hands?
That's
So is
correct.
is a shovel replacing a human being or a bobcat? No, it's just making that human being better. You still need that human being to oversee and operate. And that's how we
You,
approach it.
you have to check your results
Yes.
constantly.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that we've been able to develop as a good check and counter check. My average day at claim return is that there is no average day at claim return. And that's kind of neat too, because we get these wonderful clients that come up with, we've been thinking overnight, what do you think about this delivery? And you know something? I'm all about, if we can do it, if it's never been done, give us a couple of extra days. If it's
Yeah.
been done, yes, we'll give it to you. So
Yeah.
no, my closing thoughts are, this is a very exciting time. I think a lot of companies are touting AI without knowing what artificial intelligence really is. I think a lot of companies tout that they're trying to democratize data and to make data more available. Claim return does that today easily. We make trend management happen. We make the recoveries happen. We make our clients very happy, right? And at the end of the day, it is to make people better. by
Correct.
making claim return better. And that's really the mission of claim return. And as I said, a very exciting time. And I want to thank you, Payman, for giving me the opportunity to explain a little bit about my company and craft, and also to show you guys off a little bit.
Much appreciate that. And really, I have to give you a compliment back on my closing thoughts. I think there's a unique group of people out there that are truly interested in innovating, not for the purpose of just making money, but for the purpose of making things better. And I have to commend you. You are one of those select few that understand what innovation is, have the strength to go through the pain of innovation, which is not all, it's not out of the box. Innovation doesn't come in a box, and it's not something you can order through mail. And Uber definitely doesn't deliver it. So I have to commend it, because it takes a lot of guts, strength, and vision to do innovation, and muscle through all the days of pain where it's hopeless at times and it looks hopeless, but really if you keep going forward, you're going to get there. So I do have to give you that compliment, because there's very few leaders out there that can do that.
Thank you, and right back at you. So this has been fun, and I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to hawk our wares today.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye-bye.